Well, welcome out, Army fans, to the first installment of GoBlackKnights.com post-game analysis with Joe Iacono. Wish I was coming to you with more pleasant post-game analysis to report, but I just witnessed what may have been one of the worst exhibitions of college football I've ever seen in my life over the past 60 minutes. There's really no positive spin you can put on this game. It was awful football from start to finish, especially offensively. The defense played well, hung in there, clearly pretty much created all the points and productivity for Army until their meltdown with 7 minutes left in the game, where they gave up a 68-yard run to Hunter Smith and then subsequently got gashed again by the ULM running back Willard on the next drive and gave up the game-winning touchdown in the corner of the end zone. But this was a story of a textbook game for Army not to win, how to play Army football and lose, basically. We knew the new offense would get off to a slow start. I wasn't surprised by that. I told people all off season, be prepared. They could go down to ULM and lose. This could be a close game. After I learned more about ULM and after I witnessed what I witnessed tonight, I didn't really think there was any way they could lose, but just goes to show you that's why they play the games. And when Army loses the turnover battle, especially on the road, invariably, they usually come out on the short end of the stick. Army turned the ball over 4 times tonight. Bryson Daly threw 2 interceptions, fumbled once in the red zone. Tyson Riley put the ball on the ground, but thankfully Army recovered. And then Ijon Marshall had a completely critical mistake, fumbled the ball late in the game on a big play reception that would have kept the chains moving and kept Army with the football with a 3-point lead. Instead, Marshall fumbles the ball, poor ball security. ULM recovers, goes in, and scores the game-winning touchdown. Army's not going to beat anybody, not even FCS Delaware State next week, if they lose the turnover battle 4-2. So to me, that was the biggest story of the game. What I was most concerned with the new offense, putting the ball up in the air more, was turnovers. It wasn't really putting the ball up in the air more that caused turnovers. We ran the ball 50 times to only 9 or 11 passes, actually. Bryson Daly led the team in rushing, 21 rushes for 62 yards. Which is not how you want your rushing offense to go if you're Army. But the passing game was 5 for 11. He threw for 121 yards. The team ran for 170 yards. They started to get some traction in the second half, starting to pound the fullback and having our big offensive linemen lean on their defensive linemen to kind of start to do some ground and pound. But really, there was only one big play offensively for Army. It was Ijon Marshall's big run in the third quarter, and then Marshall's reception in the fourth quarter, which unfortunately turned into a fumble. Army had 4 trips to the red zone, 4 trips to the red zone, came away with 6 points. Again, that's just not going to beat anyone. Atrocious red zone offense. There's really no other word for it. The defense even gave them the ball once on the 20-yard line after a Max DiDomenico interception, and they came away with 3 points. Another time they missed a field goal, the first time down there. Start the game off, bing, bang, boom, drive right down the field, a couple nice running plays, a nice pass to Liam Fortner for 53 yards. I thought Daly made a great play on that pass, actually. 53 yards right down the field, get into the red zone, and fumble the ball away. And it was more of the same all night. Later in the night, the offense did nothing, couldn't move the ball. I'd have to go back and watch the game tape again, but I believe I only counted 4 or 5 option plays that they ran. Everything else was fullback power, quarterback follow. It really looked like Brent Davis's offense, except out of the shotgun. It looked extremely similar to the offense Army ran against Navy last year. I expected a lot more wide openness. I think I might know why they didn't open it up more. Probably first game for Bryson Daly, wanted to keep it pretty conservative, but Bryson still managed to turn the ball over 3 times. Again, not what Army's looking for, not the formula they need to beat anybody. I don't know what Monken's record is when we lose the turnover battle, but I know it's not good. They've got to figure out a way to protect the football, or they may not beat anybody this season. You know, there's a lot of talk about the scheme and everything else. I'm not 100%. I'm not ready to throw the baby out with the bathwater yet. I don't think it's the scheme so much as just the execution. Our offensive line got manhandled. There really weren't any big holes for our running backs all night long. So even the extra size didn't seem to help. And honestly, that's been one of my biggest concerns with the new scheme since day one, is just the fact that Army's athleticism on the offensive line to be able to sustain blocks a long time against more athletic defensive linemen from other schools. I'm just not sure that can happen. We'll see. I hope I'm proven wrong. But by the same token, you know, you had people calling to go back to the old offense, which by the way, is completely ridiculous. We haven't practiced it at all. You don't practice two offenses. Clearly, anybody who makes that statement has never played or coached football in their life. You practice one offense and you go with what you've got. There were people calling for the old offense. That's just absolutely silly. I just have to say that. And the old offense, I'm not sure it would have gone much better. It probably would have, just because things couldn't have gotten any worse. But again, without being able to block below the waist, how effective is the triple option? The problem right now is you have triple option athletes trying to run a spread offense, basically. And I'm not even going to call it a spread option at this point, because as I mentioned, there were only 4 or 5 option plays that I saw. Complete lack of offensive productivity, turnovers, ineffectiveness in the red zone. Like I said, the defense played lights out for the first 3.5 quarters. They really did. And I don't know if they just got gassed in the fourth quarter. Honestly, on the long 68-yard touchdown run, it just looked like ULM caught Army out of position maybe, or in a weird scheme where they had no linebackers walked off the line of scrimmage in the middle and no free safety in the middle of the field. So once the running back Smith busted through the line of scrimmage, that was it. There was nobody there to touch him. So maybe one of the few times all night Nate Woody guessed wrong, and maybe the team was out of position a little bit. But Nate Woody coached a heck of a game, and the defense played great for 52 out of 60 minutes. Unfortunately, when your offense scores 6 points and your defense scores 7, not usually, again, a winning formula for success. You know, the last thing I want to kind of say is I was a little bit surprised by the lack of aggressiveness on some of the play calling and decision making. Clearly, the analytics have changed with the new offense. And I'm not saying we would have gotten 4th and 1 in plus territory there in the second quarter. But there was a time in the second quarter where we had the ball, I believe, or it might have been the third quarter, down on the ULM 40 or 39-yard line, 4th and 1. Not even for Army, but for most teams, that's a go call. I know what Coach Monken was doing. He figured our defense is playing great. Let's flip field position and see what happens, and just trust our defense to make some stuff happen. However, kind of, I don't want to say it backfired, but 4th and 1 from the 39. From everything I've seen in Jeff Monken's career, he would have gone for that. So I was super surprised we didn't go on that drive. Not saying we would have scored, not saying we would have come away with points. Again, when you look at the red zone offense, they just bogged down in the red zone every time. And the bottom line, people can talk about Daly's play. People can talk about, you know, the lack of a playmaker without Terrell Robinson. I do think Ijon Marshall's a playmaker. Just unfortunate ball security mistake there in the fourth quarter. But really, I think one of the biggest struggles for this offense is going to be the offensive line being able to pass block and create holes and really knock people off the line of scrimmage and sustain blocks. That was something we didn't see most of the night, and that was against ULM. So you can only imagine what that's going to look like against Syracuse, LSU, Troy, Boston College, Air Force even, and the list goes on and on. So Army's got to get a lot right in practice over the next 7 days. Thankfully, they have FCS Delaware State coming to town. But quite frankly, if they go into Mikey and turn the ball over 4 times again and play with a lack of aggression, a lack of discipline the way they did tonight, they're not going to beat anybody. So sorry if this was too honest of an analysis, but that was honestly one of the worst 60 minutes of football I've seen watching a Jeff Monken coach team. I think, you know, going all the way back to 2014. I mean, there were some games in 14, 15, and 16 that looked that bad, but that was probably the last time. Army has to right the ship. They have to figure out an offense that works other than just QB follow, fullback power. I mean, honestly, it looked like Brent Davis's offense in the Navy game, and I was thinking this was going to be a lot different. So I think there is hope. I thought they'd start slow. They did. Just started a lot slower than I thought they would. And they're going to need to make some exponential improvements as the season goes along if they hope to get in the win column. So that's it. No MVPs on my part. No outstanding anything, because when you lose a game like that, nobody should get any kind of congratulations at all. So that's it for tonight. Joe Iacono with his first GoBlackKnights.com post-game analysis. Comment, go on the site, go on the 12th night message board. Tell me what you think. Where did I get it right? Where did I get it wrong? What do they need to do next week to improve? Looking forward to having some guests on this show later in the year so that you don't have to listen to me just flap my gums for 5 to 10 minutes. But anyway, that's it. Signing off. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Appreciate it. Go Army, beat Navy.